In this lesson, I'm going to talk about how to talk about money in Chinese. And so that's super exciting. It's really important to know how to talk about money when you're trying to buy things and understand the prices that a shop owner might tell you. And so here we go. So in English, this number, $8.35, will be said that way, $8.35. So we have two main units, dollars and cents. When even if the number, like the tens number 30, is a whole number like 30, we still say 30. We don't say 3 tens, right? We say 30. So 835 or 830. In Chinese, it's different. Each of these numbers has its own unit. And so we have a whole unit, we have a tenth unit, like dimes. In American money, we call it dimes. And then we have a hundredths unit, which in American money is cents. So in China there are 3 units, and I'll go over them right now. So the whole unit, like the dollar in American money, is there's actually 2 ways to say it. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, to throw complexity into it, but the most common and the most colloquial is to say kuai. So one kuai, 1 renminbi. Renminbi is the yuan, or renminbi is the unit of money in China. So yi kuai. But also, however, just an aside, if we're talking about money in America, we actually say the same. We say this. We can also say kuai, because kuai actually refers to 1 unit of money, no matter what the money is. Anyway, so we have yi kuai, one unit, yi kuai, or 2 kuai, 3 kuai, 4 kuai. Or we can say yuan, which is more formal, sounds more formal. So we can either say kuai or yuan. This refers to 1 unit of money as well. And so the dimes, or the tenths, is either mao, which is more colloquial, or jiao, which is more formal. And then hundredths, good news, there's only one way to say it. It's fen, and this would be cents in American money. And so in China we have kuai or yuan, mao or jiao, and fen. So, however, here's the deal. In the PRC in China today, this fen is basically obsolete. So you will almost never hear a price that's like this. It will always be like this, because the fen is so small, it's not used. Just like cents are starting to kind of phase out in America as well, because who wants to carry around a bunch of little cents? Talking about nickels and dimes is just fine using them. So you should know how to say this. However, you should know how to use fen, because if you're talking about maybe if you're in Europe and you're talking about the euro, which is a bigger unit of money, people might actually use hundreds, and so fen is a good thing to know. So for now, you can just focus on this column right here, because this is the more colloquial, more street-wise way to say it, and this is the more formal way, which you should learn as well. But for the sake of practice right now, just use kuai, mao, fen. Okay, so let's do some examples here. Let's see. So this how to say this? This would be 8块3毛5分. Does that make sense? 8块3毛5分. This would be 8块3毛. Again, just like in numbers, if you have a whole number like this, you can drop the last unit. So this could be 8块3, 8块3. You can drop the mao, because it's understood that if it's dropped, that it's the unit right after the kuai unit. It's not like you haven't skipped them. So if you do skip a unit, for example, if you do say something like this, which, like I said, you'll see very little in China now, but this would be 8块05分. The ling indicates that you've skipped a unit, just like when you're talking about numbers generally. So that's how you talk about money. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about here. I think that's it. So I didn't go into a lot of detail with a lot of examples, but with just that information, if you really digest it, you will be able to talk about when you're talking about the whole unit kuai, then you can, what I taught you about numbers applies to that. It's just, it changes a little bit when you go into like the tens and the hundreds to talk about tens and cents. Now I want to teach you how to talk about the days of the week in Chinese. Good news, it's actually really simple. And so here we go. The way to talk about the days of the week is simple. There's a little formula. It's to say the Chinese word for week and then the number of the day. So, and it starts with Monday. Chinese weeks start with Monday. So Monday is, you literally say week 1, obviously speaking Chinese, but the way you say Monday is week 1. And then the way you say Tuesday is week 2. And the way you say Wednesday is week 3. And this is true all the way until Sunday. So Sunday is the last day of the week in Chinese. And it's not 7. So it's true for week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 would be Saturday, but then it changes when we go to Sunday. It's not 7. It's actually week plus the Chinese word for day, and there are actually 2 of them. Ri is more formal. Tian is a little bit less formal, but they both mean day. So you're actually saying weekday, and that's how you say Sunday. So it's week 1, week 2, and so forth until Sunday. You say weekday. And so now that begs the question, what I'm saying begs the question, how do you say week in Chinese? Well, here's a little bit more complication. There are actually 3 ways to say the word week in Chinese. And I'm going to teach you all of them quickly, but I want to suggest that you, for now, just stick with learning and remembering xingqi, unless you're a little more advanced. That's the most common one. It's the one you'll hear the most, but I'll explain the others too. So xingqi, that is how do you say week. So if I want to say Monday, I say 星期一, Tuesday, 星期二, Wednesday, 星期三, Thursday, 星期四, Friday, 星期五, Saturday, 星期六, and then Sunday is 星期日 or 星期天. Both of them are fine. So that's how you say the days of the week. Now I'm going to tell you quickly how to about the other words for the week. So 星期 is the main one, the most common one. 周 is probably the next most common one, and so the same thing applies. 周 is it sounds more formal. It's a little more formal. So 周一, 周二, 周三, 周四, 周五, 周六. And then when we get to Sunday, in this case, we can only say 日, 周日, meaning Sunday, because 日 is formal and 周 is formal, so it matches. If I say 周天, it doesn't match because 周 is formal and 天 is informal. And so you don't say that. You just say 周日. There's only one option for Sunday when you're using 周. And then 礼拜 functions just like 星期. It's less common. You'll hear it much less. It actually means it's a word for worship, basically. Christians will sometimes talk about going to worship using this word 礼拜. And so, but it also means week. And so week, can 礼拜一, 礼拜二, 礼拜三, and so forth. And then I believe you can say 礼拜天 or 礼拜日. I believe both of them are okay. And so another question is, how do you ask which day of the week? And you don't actually use the word which, you use a number, because you see here, it's like 星期 number, right? And so remember just now I taught you the word 几, meaning how many when you're talking about a small number. So in order to say, again, it's week and then number. So to say which day of the week, you say 星期几. 星期几. It's really easy. Which day of the week? 星期几. Because the answer is 星期 number. So it's like week, how many? That makes sense? And then lastly, I'll teach you that if you want to talk about last week or next week, use these words. Last week is 上, which means above, and next week is 下, which means below. And so you can think of it as a calendar. If you have like the first week of the month, the second week of the month, the next week of the month, and the next week of the month, the last week was above this week, and the next week is below this week. And so that will help you visually remember that last week is 上, above, and next week is below. And you will use a measure word with it, though in this case, it can be dropped. But like last week is 上个星期 or 上个礼拜. And next week is 下个星期 or 下个礼拜. However, when you talk about 周, you can also use it to say, 3 weeks or next week. The 周is itself a measure word, and therefore you don't put the ga there. And that's a little confusing, but you just kind of memorize that and get used to it. So when you talk about 周, if you're talking about last week, you say 上周. And if you're talking about next week, you say 下周. And that's how you talk about it. But for now, just learn 星期 and you will be well on your way.